I'm Shannon Thrasher, and this is 30 Second Tactics. Today, I'm going to say something that's going to freak out a bunch of gun nuts, and that is, you should buy a Hi-Point for home defense. Now, when I say you, I'm not talking to the me and the SWAT guys of the you audience. I'm talking about people, maybe your mom or your cousin or friend of yours that you can give this advice to. Somebody who is not a gun guy, is going to buy one gun their entire life, put it in the nightstand next to their bed for burglars, and hope they never need it. So if that's you, or if that's the person you're giving advice to, what are we looking for in a gun? Well, I look for the same thing in every gun, and that's reliability and accuracy. Now, those are just words. I mean, where do you cut that off? What's reliability to you versus me? Now, if I'm going to carry that gun as an EDC, protect my life, my family members, I need almost perfect. You know, I need hundreds of rounds between malfunctions. Is that realistic for someone who's going to buy one gun and never use it, you know, never buy another and hardly ever use it? It's kind of a sliding scale. But basic reliability, you should be able to get through a couple mags without worrying about it, right? If you get through more than a couple mags in your home defense situation, then you're probably not talking about the same situation. And then when it comes to accuracy, does it need to be teeny tiny 100-yard groups from a handgun for a gun we're talking about accuracy-wise for home defense? No. I mean, realistically, the most accuracy you need is the ability to hit a burglar from the longest distance in your house that you would reasonably be shooting them. Now, that's different for everybody, but we're out here at 10 yards, 30 feet. That's pretty good guess, I would say, for if you're in your house shooting for more than 30 feet away, you probably have a really nice house. But when it comes to handguns, I personally compare everything to a Glock 19. I think Glock 19 is a near perfect self-defense gun. I know there's going to be guys out there that disagree, and I know there's other guns that will do everything a Glock 19 will do. But just to have something to compare it to. You know, the FBI has their protocols for penetration and stuff, and everyone compares them to them. Nobody says that's perfect, but you have a finite thing to compare it to. So if we're comparing everything to the Glock 19, and we're comparing, you know, your basic C9 model Hi-Point 9mm on those two things, okay? So first thing we're gonna talk about is reliability, right? So I'm gonna put my earmuffs on, I'm gonna load my Glock, and I'm just gonna rock off about 5 rounds. As suspected, no malfunctions. What would really be unusual for the Glock. So here's my Hi-Point. Now, granted, that's 5 rounds, that's not 500 rounds, but you saw it here live, as they say, not Memorex, and based on that criteria of reasonable reliability, they performed identically, okay? Well, what about accuracy? We'll go back to our Glock, got some plates out there. Again, we're not super far, super sniper stuff. We're 10 yards, 30 feet away, and again, and that's not the Glock, that's just me warming up on a cold day on the range. Maybe not the greatest example because I don't have a lot of time on this gun, but those are small targets, and even the misses would be hits if you're talking about hitting a burglar in the house. So if they're basically the same accuracy and basically the same reliability on the low end of ammo count, again, I wouldn't say let's go to a 1,000 round class with the Glock and the Hi-Point. I can tell you which one's gonna last longer, probably. But if that's basically the same, then what's the difference? And why would I say that non-gun person should consider getting a Hi-Point? Well, the Glock's gonna run you roughly 600 bucks. You know, your prices vary and stuff, you know, different parts of the country and stuff. And the Hi-Point's gonna run you roughly $200. Now you can get them cheaper, same with the Glocks, depending on where you go. But just as a nice round number, 600 versus 200. So that person who's not a gun person, first gun they ever owned, not going to take this to the range once a month and shoot it, not going to go in some 1,000-round class, not going to carry it on duty as a police officer. They spend that $200 on their $600 budget. If they buy a Glock, they get the Glock. Boom, they're done. They don't even have money for ammo or anything, or a little flashlight to sit next to their gun in the nightstand. But you spend $200 on that relatively accurate, very reliable Hi-Point. Now you have $200 to spend on ammo and $200 to spend on some good professional training. To me, that's a better use of your $600. That's why I say buy a Hi-Point for home defense. Not because it's a better gun than a Glock or a Beretta or a SIG or whatever, but like I said, for the reasons I've discussed and the reality. Now, if your mom or your aunt or your cousin or your friend, wants to get into guns, of course we're gun people. We want them to keep going deeper and deeper into it. But the reality is there's a certain group of people out there that want a gun for home defense. It's all they're going to use it for. It's going to sit in the nightstand, hope and pray they never need it. And that's it. They're not going to become a gun person. And if that's the case, I think taking that budget and using some of it for ammo and training is much better than buying a more expensive gun and not getting the training. I mean, if you take someone who's never touched a gun before and you give them a Glock and say 1 box of ammo, and you give them a Hi-Point and say 10 boxes of ammo, or 6 or 8 boxes of ammo and some good one-on-one professional instruction, at the end of the day, who's going to be more safe? The guy that spent more money on the Glock? Probably not. So anyway, that's my thoughts on that. Obviously, I'm not saying the Hi-Point is the best gun ever made, but I think in that situation, it's something to consider. So that's what I have for you this time, guys. As always, work, train, repeat. Stay safe.